All right, I want to show you how to use a tool that I use a lot that's come standard on all Macs. It's called Automator. So if you do a search for Automator and you click on this and you open it, then you can go File and Open. And then here I've got a bunch of Automator apps. And this is a typical one I use a lot. Actually, I use this one a lot. So here's a typical one I use a lot. And again, the way it works is that I have a folder here called Automator, and I've got these apps in there, and I'll drag images onto these apps, and then what'll happen is that this is an example of one that's called 1500 width JPEG. And so the first thing it's going to do is it's going to copy any item that I drag onto it over to a resized folder, and then it's going to rename it, and it's going to put after the name, it's going to put 1500W, so I have a some kind of a marking of what I've done. Then it's going to change it to a JPEG. I use this a lot for when I'm doing screen captures, which typically come in PNGs to size those to JPEGs, which are a smaller size. And then I will resize it to 1500. And the way that this works, it's going to take the longest edge, whether it's height or width, and change it to 1500, and that's going to move it into the resize folder. And that's great. You can take a bunch of images at one time and it'll do all those things. Now, one that was specific for these portraits that we're doing is it's a little bit different in that I'm not copying the image. So I start right away by renaming the image, which again, this is just giving me a tag, so I've got a record on the image what was done. Then I'm going to change it to JPEG. If you're starting out with a JPEG, it doesn't, that this result is not going to do anything, and then it's going to size it. And so again, when I'm using this Automator tool to run those, it'll change the actual file itself. So I will lose the original file size and whatnot based on doing this. But this is going to save space with this particular Automator. Here's another one that is just renaming it. So for this other project, all I want to do is rename it to make it easier. And so this is just adding it to before the name. And again, what's really cool about Automator is that what you can do is I can go over to any one of these and I can duplicate it. And then once I have that duplicated, I can go to a particular and then I can just rename it here, just click on that and rename it to whatever I want to do. And then I can change some of these attributes. Do I want to size it to a different size? Do I want to add some different things? So there's a lot in here. I typically use it for doing image sizing and some kind of renaming, but it's mostly for sizing stuff. And I think, the ability to do 20, 30, 40 files at one time is super efficient and easy to use. So you should try and get to know it.